Most westerns treat violence like choreography. Clean duels, perfect draw times, heroes framed against glowing sunsets. But Francis Ford Coppola never believed that version of the frontier. To him, violence on screen shouldn't feel graceful. It should feel sudden, ugly, and morally corrosive. These are the westerns he believed actually got it right. Number 9. The Wild Bunch. If Coppola respected one western for ripping the romance out of gunfire, it was The Wild Bunch. Directed by Sam Peckinpah, the film treats violence like a convulsion rather than heroic punctuation. The opening robbery collapses into chaos almost instantly. Civilians are caught in the crossfire. Bullets rip through bodies in brutal slow motion. There is no clean moral framing here. No tidy divide between good and evil. Coppola often argued that violence on screen must carry consequences. In The Wild Bunch, every gunshot lingers. Slow motion doesn't beautify death, it forces the viewer to sit inside it. Bodies twist. Blood sprays across walls. The rhythm becomes disorienting. What likely struck Coppola most was the film's moral decay. These outlaws are aging men who know their time is ending. They aren't legendary heroes riding toward glory. They're professionals clinging to relevance. The final sequence captures this perfectly. Four men walk into a Mexican compound knowing they will probably die. It isn't a duel. It's a massacre. Machine guns roar. Horses scream. Smoke fills the courtyard. There's no triumphant music. Only the sense that everything is collapsing. Number 8. Unforgiven. If The Wild Bunch shows violence as chaos, Unforgiven shows it as rot. Directed by and starring Clint Eastwood, the film dismantles the myth of the noble gunslinger. Eastwood plays William Money, a retired outlaw dragged back into killing. But he's not sharp anymore. He struggles to mount his horse. He misses shots. He coughs in the cold. Violence isn't graceful. It's awkward and terrifying. One of the most powerful scenes shows a young gunman shooting a man from a distance. The victim doesn't die quickly. He bleeds slowly, crying for water while his friends listen helplessly. The moment stretches painfully long. Coppola believed violence should weigh on those who commit it, and money carries guilt like a physical burden. When he finally returns to his old persona in the saloon shootout, it isn't triumphant. It's horrifying. The gunfire is sudden and brutal. When it's over, Money simply threatens the town and disappears into darkness. There is no heroic ending. Only the realization that violence corrodes everyone it touches. Number 7. The Searchers. At first glance, The Searchers looks like a classic mythic western. Directed by John Ford and starring John Wayne, the film unfolds across the vast landscapes of Monument Valley. But Coppola admired it for something darker. What violence does to Ethan Edwards. Ethan's quest to find his kidnapped niece lasts for years. The massacre that begins the story isn't staged like heroic drama. It's abrupt and devastating. Burned homes, silent bodies, smoke rising into the sky. The real violence isn't just physical. It's psychological. Ethan's obsession hardens over time. His hatred grows so deep that he even considers killing his own niece rather than letting her live among the Comanche. Coppola believed violence stains a character permanently, and Ethan embodies that idea. By the end, when he finally spares the girl, the mercy feels heavier than any gunshot. The final image says everything. Ethan standing alone in a doorway, unable to enter the peaceful world he helped protect. Violence has left him outside it forever. Number 6. McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Most westerns build toward a dramatic duel under blazing sunlight. McCabe and Mrs. Miller, directed by Robert Altman, builds toward something colder. John McCabe drifts into a snowy mining town and builds a business with Mrs. Miller. For a while, life seems almost peaceful. Then a mining company arrives and demands to buy him out. When he refuses, hired killers are sent. The violence unfolds slowly and inevitably, like bad weather moving in. The final gunfight happens during a snowstorm. Visibility is poor. McCabe slips through alleys, hiding behind buildings, terrified. Shots are clumsy and desperate. Eventually, he kills one attacker, but another shoots him. McCabe dies alone in the snow while the town continues its routine, barely noticing. For Coppola, this captured a harsh truth. Violence rarely feels heroic. Often it's lonely, bureaucratic, and ignored by the world around it. Number 5. The Proposition. Set in the Australian outback, The Proposition brings Western brutality to an even harsher landscape. Directed by John Hillcoat, the story begins with a grim bargain. Kill your older brother, or watch your younger brother hang. From that moment forward, violence becomes negotiation. The opening gunfight inside a shack is chaotic and ugly. Blood splatters walls. Men scramble blindly. Later, a public flogging unfolds in slow, agonizing detail. The camera doesn't cut away. Flesh tears while spectators watch in silence. The film refuses to present law as morally superior to outlaw brutality. Authority is just as capable of cruelty. The final confrontation is quick and savage, leaving everyone emotionally scarred. For Coppola, that moral contamination, where no side is clean, is exactly what makes violence feel real. Number 4. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. This film treats violence not as spectacle, but as confession. Directed by Andrew Dominic, it portrays Jesse James as a man collapsing under paranoia. Brad Pitt plays Jesse as quiet and unpredictable, while Casey Affleck portrays Robert Ford as a man obsessed with myth. The assassination itself is painfully restrained. Jesse removes his gun belt and turns his back. Ford raises the pistol and fires once. No duel. No dramatic build-up. Just a single gunshot in a quiet room. The aftermath is worse. Ford expects fame but instead becomes despised, while Jesse's legend grows even larger. Violence here doesn't create heroes. It traps people inside stories they can never escape. Number 3. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Also directed by Sam Peckinpah, this Western feels like a long goodbye to the outlaw era. Pat Garrett hunts his former friend Billy the Kid, not out of glory but because the world is changing. Railroads and wealthy landowners demand order. Violence becomes administrative. When Billy is finally killed, it happens quietly inside a dark room. There's no blazing showdown, only recognition, regret, and a gunshot. Garrett wins, but the victory isolates him. The legend of Billy the Kid grows while Garrett fades into resentment. For Coppola, that melancholy truth captured how violence reshapes history. Number 2. Once Upon a Time in the West. Sergio Leone opens this film with nearly 10 minutes of silence at a deserted train station. 3 gunmen wait. Wind creaks through a windmill. A fly buzzes. Boots scrape dust. When the train finally arrives, gunfire erupts instantly. The massacre is brutal and casual. An entire family murdered without ceremony. Later, the final duel between Harmonica and Frank is staged with restraint. The tension stretches unbearably before a single exchange of gunfire ends it. For Coppola, Leone understood something crucial. Violence becomes powerful when it interrupts silence, not when it replaces it. Number 1. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. At first glance, this Western feels operatic. Epic landscapes. Ennio Morricone's unforgettable score. 3 larger-than-life characters chasing buried gold. But beneath the style lies something harsher. Violence here is currency. Blondie, Tuco, and Angel Eyes are opportunists navigating a war-torn world. Men are shot mid-sentence. Others die over petty insults. Even the famous cemetery duel isn't about gunfire. It's about tension. The camera circles as eyes lock and hands hover over holsters. Then the shots come. And it's over in seconds. No cheering crowd. Only wind moving across a graveyard. For Coppola, this was the Western that understood violence best. Not as redemption, not as heroism, but as negotiation in a world ruled by survival. If you love the scandals, rivalries, and secrets behind Hollywood's biggest legends, subscribe to Hollywood Feuds.